The 39th annual regular meeting of the Conference of the Heads of the Caribbean Community ended this evening with a final press conference at the Montego Bay Convention Center. Regional leaders had an intense agenda to complete today. Altavi's Munnings tells us that the Bahamas issued a charge on disaster preparedness.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Hubert Minnis delivered an intervention on building resilience to his Caribbean colleagues Friday morning, which was the second and final day of this week's Caricom Heads of Government meetings in Montego Bay, Jamaica. He outlined to his colleagues how Hurricanes Joaquin, Matthew, and Irma impacted the Bahamas and why the Caribbean community must continue to financially sustain the Caribbean Disaster Management Agency, SDMA.
We could not possibly be serious about SDMA if we're only supporting them by about $1.2 million for an entire region, knowing the work that they do when there's devastation in Jamaica. We send individuals from throughout the Caribbean, the devastation in the Bahamas, they assist the devastation in St. Lucia, Dominica. And if we are serious about hurricane and the role and the function of SDMA, then we must increase the funding. $1.2 million for the entire Caribbean is not sufficient, and they're already running a deficit.
Prime Minister Minnis also recommended that the region should observe a month for disaster preparedness annually, just like the Bahamas does during the month of June.
Words must now be implemented into action. We cannot just talk and then experience devastation among ourselves and not sufficient revenue or income to deal with it. We cannot just continuously depend on some other first world nation. As a unit and an entity, we must put together and move together as one unit and help ourselves.
The Prime Minister said he was also pleased with what has been discussed during this week's high-level regional meetings in Jamaica.
We would go back in session a little while where we would speak about marijuana, and I know that's the one that Bahamians especially want to hear about, and I would talk about that, and of course Bahamians again would want to hear about the CSME. And I would talk about that also later in a later interview.
Caricom leaders held a special meeting and lunch on Friday with the President of Chile, Sebastian Pinera. Reporting from Montego Bay, Jamaica, I'm Altavi's Munnings, ZNS Network News.